Oh, we're going? Oh, sorry.
That's what the music means, Bo.
Let's redo that. I thought we were just jamming out for a minute.
No, this is a wonderful start.
Access Sports Weekly.
Digging this jam.
It is a good jam.
Well, that's our intro.
That's a great jammer.
There's the intro. Jammer.
All right, let's go.
Like fruit jammers.
Just ends with me standing on the table.
Please no. Please don't. We've already got one out on injury. Please don't hurt yourself.
Oh, the problem won't be me. The problem will be the table. The table's what'll get injured.
You said it, not me.
Welcome to week one of Friday Game Night Pick'em Show. Bo Wilson alongside Caleb Hutchins. Walker-Ticker McQuarrie up somewhere up in Virginia. And the guy that's spinning the buttons, pushing the buttons, working the cameras, doing the editing, Seth Chapman. What's up, fellas?
Not
I'm
much.
excited for week one.
We're back.
We're back. Award-nominated show. Friday Game Night Pick'em Show. Yes, we are.
That's right.
We're going to win that thing, too, by the way, folks.
Week 5
It's hard to believe that the shenanigans that we do every week is nominated for a statewide award.
You know what it was last year's State of the Union.
Yeah, that probably had something to do with it.
Yeah.
It's possible.
All your friends up in Oconee County.
I mean, all I do is come in here on Wednesdays and annoy Seth for an hour and a half, and I get nominated for an award for it.
That is the gist of it.
We did not do anything to Seth today as far as annoying.
Not a bit
whatsoever.
No, we've been good boys.
Seth came in this morning, set the studio up, and now he's back there just doing a fantastic job. We did not say one thing to Seth other than fantastic job.
Year 3,
He's probably got
is
his
that right
feet
at
up.
the Pick'em Show?
I think it is year 3.
Yeah.
By the way, you finished in the basement, and I finished on the first floor. And who was the winner? Like Seth Chapman. Chapman was in the
I took it
penthouse.
last year.
Okay, I thought you were saying you were in first. I was like, you were not in first.
No, you were in the
last year.
basement. First floor, third floor, I think was Jeff. Second floor was our fourth floor was Walker, and the penthouse. Well, congratulations, Seth.
Good job, Seth.
Although I don't know if Walker has his coat on today, so there might not be any coat tails for you to ride, Seth.
I'll figure it out.
The worst of first campaign starts now.
So how is that going to work out for you?
That's going to work out great.
So do you have like a game plan to finish first?
Yeah, just pick all the games right. That's my plan.
Hey, that's pretty easy.
My strategy.
Hey, can I borrow that strategy?
No.
Okay, fine,
No.
whatever.
That's all me.
Yeah, thank you for that. By the way, Jeff Hart is not with us today. He's feeling a little under the weather, but we do have picks. We'll throw those in to the show for him. But also, we're going to have to figure out a Jeff Hart stat of the show, which I think I know what it is. So maybe we can just do the Jeff Hart stat of the show. And maybe
you got Bo's stat of the show.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and sing the jingle?
No, I don't sing the jingle.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know who's
mystery.
Oh, I thought that was you.
It's a
mystery voice.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I told everybody that you sang it last
oh, and there it is.
Well, why would you do that, Seth?
year. Because it's funny. It's lovely
We
to
had
know
a-
that
we
that
had a
squeaky
little-
little voice is
Jeff
yours.
Hart
We had a
stat
little-
of the show. Ow!
We had a little broadcasting magic going on there, and
It was
pulled the curtain
magical.
back.
There's no magic on this show. We pull back the curtain all the time.
Oh, there is magic. There's actually
Yeah, you want to show people
there's a green
you wanna
wall
show
behind
what
us.
people what this actually looks like for a second.
Sure, why not?
Da-da.
It's great, isn't it?
Hey, look at
And
da-da.
we're back. There we go.
There we go. We're back. All right, let's get to week one. A lot of interesting games, some big games on the schedule. We'll go ahead and jump into conversation this week. Also, coming up later in the show is our guest picker this year, a new segment we're going to add in. So we've got a guest picker coming up. Just wait on later in the show for that. We're going to start, though, in the Corky Kell Classic with Cherokee Bluff at West Forsyth. That's a 7:30 kickoff. And by the way, North Forsyth plays before then at 4:30. So a doubleheader for a few of our area teams coming up on Thursday in the Corky Kell Classic. But Bluff heading into West Forsyth. A lot of unknowns for both teams. But we've talked all summer about Cherokee Bluff and the way they finished. And as many close games as they had last year, they have several key players back. You have to think, guys, and Walker, you did the story. You have to think Bluff is going to be better this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Cherokee Bluff's roster, it all starts with quarterback Asher Wilson. It now has an entire year under his belt. in leading this team. Coach Tommy Jones said this offseason has been spectacular for his Bears team in terms of learning how to get that last little bit and get over that hump in those close games. I mean, I think six or seven of his games were determined by a touchdown or less. And I think 3 of their losses in region play were by a combined 15 points. So Cherokee Bluff was just right there on the edge in their first year in 8 Quad A. It seems like now they have the experience. Going to be a really interesting test, though, in this Gorky Cal Classic against West Forsyth, a team, we all know is going to be loaded in terms of the running back and offensive line. But the strength of this Cherokee Bluff team is their defense. So I think that's where the battle is going to really play out Thursday night is Cherokee Bluff's defense going to be enough to slow down the West Forsyth offense? Because I think Cherokee Bluff, Caleb, I think their offense can really get going and put up some points against the Wolverines on their home field.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I had a chance to talk to Tommy Jones actually yesterday, and he was telling me, this Cherokee Bluff and West Forsyth really are teams that are built very similarly in terms of the makeup of them. The main difference is West Forsyth just generally has size advantages across the board coming into this matchup. So I think it's going to be tough on Cherokee Bluff. I think controlling that line of scrimmage. Now, I think it will be a great tune-up for them as they get ready to go into 8-4A, because if Cherokee Bluff is going to make the playoffs this year, I think it's going to mainly be because of line of scrimmage play. I think that's where they will have the edge on a lot of the teams that they will be vying for playoff positioning for or against later this season.
Yeah, I think a few more question marks maybe on offense for them, especially out of the backfield, Walker. I know what Coach Jones said earlier this summer and a few weeks ago, the fact that the running game is one of the things that could be a question mark. Asher Wilson back at quarterback. He's a veteran quarterback. You got to think that's going to be pretty good for them. And a couple other key players in the receiving back. But I think the rushing attack might be the thing that Coach Jones is maybe most concerned about offensively.
Yeah, I mean, running back by committee is kind of what Cherokee Bluff had to do last year. They're going to do it again this year. Connor Holsey, Connor Griffin, Ryan Ackerman being the 3 names that are going to get a lot of the touches in the backfield for the Bears. I think that, though, can play to their advantage, Bo. I think you're going to have fresh legs out there a lot. Again, it comes down to, can the offensive line make the gaps for those running backs to be able to set up Asher to throw the ball down the field on play action, to get the tight ends involved, to get the wide receivers involved. That's going to be, I think, where the question mark is early on. To Caleb's point, the line of scrimmage against West Forsyth going to be a challenge to be able to get that running game going. But you get into region play, especially with the tests that Cherokee Bluff are going to have early on, I think that offensive line is going to start really getting into their groove, getting those 3 running backs a lot of touches with fresh legs. And that's where Cherokee Bluff, I think, could have the advantage. While it might be a question mark now, when you get later in the season and 3 guys are sharing the bulk load of the running, that's where, you're starting to get legs that are fresher come week 10, week 11 of the season, as opposed to somebody who's only got 1 running back that carries 30, 40 times a game.
Yeah, I mean, when Cherokee Bluff won those back-to-back region titles in 20 and 21, they had Jaquan Smith in the backfield. And I think, when you've got a running back like Jaquan Smith, you've got to give him the bulk of the carries. There's just no way around it. The only reason you're bringing him out of the game is when he's too gassed to keep going, or because you're trying to keep him fresh for the fourth quarter. But that kind of belies, I think, what Tommy Jones and Cherokee Bluff want to do offensively, which is, I think, in a perfect world, they would be running the football primarily with a stable of running backs that they have confidence in. That's what they're going to be trying to do this year. That's what they've got coming into this season. That's what's going to be the offense as long as Tommy Jones is there most of the time, is a multiple running back situation. It's just for 2 years. They had probably the best running back in Hall County, and you can't not give them the football. So
8-4 ain't going to be interesting, as that's the region that Cherokee Bluff plays in. It's North Oconee, and you can talk to every other coach, and they're going to say, and everybody else in that region. All right, Marist is traveling to Gainesville. We know that game last year. Gainesville jumped out to a 27-7 halftime lead. Marist roared back, cut it to within a touchdown. Gainesville held on to win that game down at Marist in Josh Nibless' first game as head coach. That was a game that kind of set the Red Elephants on pace to that 14-1 finish in the Class 6A state championship game. And in that first game of the year, last year. They had several penalties in that game, but that was one of the storylines that we talked about every week last year, was the fact that the pre-snap penalties and the mistakes that Gainesville was making, they somehow, though, overcame those during the season to get to the state championship game. But this one, interesting, a top 10 matchup at City Park. Marist, you got to think, is going to be better than they were last year. And, of course, it wasn't the typical Marist team that you would see, even though they came into the season ranked number 6 last year. But they also had just jumped 2 classifications into Class 6A because of the multiplier. But Alan Chadwick, head coach, a nasty triple option offense, and a hard-nosed defense they'll bring into City Park. And Gainesville, on the other hand, a lot of talent both sides of the ball, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to the matchup. I'm also looking forward to the atmosphere at City Park because, man, they went down to Atlanta and beat Marist last year. I can't remember if they're off the top of my head. I can't remember if their home opener that year was Mountain View or if it was Clark Central. But I mean, it was an electric atmosphere when they opened up at home because of the excitement around that program with Josh Niblett coming in and after the big win at Marist. Can you imagine what it's going to be coming off of a trip to the state title game last year, the first time they had done that since 2012 there at Gainesville? City Park's going to be juiced up for this opener, and especially considering it's against a good premier program in Marist. There's going to be a ton of excitement for this ball game. So I think the main thing for Gainesville, because of the excitement level coming in and because of the type of football team they're playing, is going to be limiting mistakes. You called that game at Marist last year. Yes, Gainesville made mistakes in that game against Marist, but they didn't make them early.
Right.
They made them later in the game, which allowed Marist to get back into it. But when they played clean early in the game, they got out to a huge lead. And if you look at Gainesville all of last year, when they weren't committing penalties and turnovers, I mean, in the stretches where they weren't doing that, they were probably the best team in the state, at least in 6A. So if Gainesville can come out and not let that energy and maybe some early jitters affect them and they can play cleanly early on in the game, I think they've got a chance of doing to Marist in the first half, at least what they did to him in the first half last year in Atlanta, which is just coming out and blowing open a big lead early. But I think that's going to be the key.
I think that's what all the fans at Gainesville are going to be looking for. I think that's what they're hoping to see is just a repeat of last year and another, great start to the season. I think that's what they're looking for, and I think it's going to be a big part of Gainesville's mental preparation to make sure that they're not going into this thing with any kind of insane, mental blocks or standards coming from fans or anything like that.
Yeah, and to your point, and Walker, I know you talked to Coach Niblett earlier this summer, but to what you're saying is that, how do you build on last season is you forget about it. And I think Coach Niblett has said something along those lines. They do want to build on last season, but this is a new season for them. And Walker, I know with you talking to Coach Niblett, every time you talk to Coach Niblett, he is so motivational, and will just tell you how it is.
Yeah, I was looking for the quote that he said in the story that we wrote for the magazine. Last year we had to prove everyone wrong. This year we have to prove everyone right. And I think that's the mindset switch that Coach Niblett has embedded into this Gainesville Red Elephants football team. Is last year nobody really gave Gainesville much of a chance going to 6A in that region and playing Marist to open the year and all the big matchups that they had throughout the season. This year, 14-1 a year ago, a touchdown loss to Langston Hughes in the state championship game, a team that was blowing teams out left and right, and Gainesville held their own in that game. Now it's about, for Gainesville, okay, everybody's expecting us to get there. We have to prove that we're worthy of that. And so I think that the whole thing of remembering what you did last year and how close you were to winning the state title, yes, you flush it, but also use that as motivation. And that's what Gainesville has really done. They're not looking at it as, well, we were a touchdown away from winning the state championship. They're looking at, wow, we were a touchdown away. That's a long way to go. And so I think that that's the motivation that Gainesville has, is that they're not looking at it as we were 10 yards away, 5 yards away, whatever it is. They're looking at it as we're a whole football game behind of winning a state championship. We're a long way from getting there. And now we have to prove that last year wasn't a fluke, we're going to try and get back there, but we got to take it one game at a time, and it starts with a big matchup against Marist at City Park. Is this the part of the show, Bo, that I get to talk about the Maxwell ratings and how crazy dumb they are?
I guess it is now.
I mean, you just set it up.
How is Gainesville number 7 in the state in 6A in the Maxwell ratings?
You're talking about Maxwell ratings, which are heavily weighted on last year's action, right?
Yes, that's
right.
I would think that they should be more heavily rated in that, and they say they are, but it takes into account the whole history. I get that, but how is last year's ratings not more heavily rated?
Well, and also
there aren't 6 teams in 6A better than Gainesville.
Well, yeah, and if you're looking at both last year's results and total history, well then. Okay, any combination of that would put Gainesville at number 7 in the state, but should by no means have Hughes number 1. Right? Because, I mean, they've got no longstanding history.
Yeah, Hughes was ranked number 3
in the last few years. So, I agree with you. But, in defense of the Maxwell ratings, there's not really a good metric by which to measure teams in the preseason. The model is really built to handle data that's brought in over the course of the season. You get the Maxwell ratings late in the year, and once you get about halfway through the season, the Maxwell ratings end up being pretty spot on. I would say about 85% of the time. But early in the year, they're not. I don't think they're nearly as worth looking at early in the year as they are late in the year.
It's just something that we all get the emails every.
You've
morning,
calmed down some, Walker.
Well, yeah. How is Gainesville? I guess I kind of understand, the fact that Gainesville is a top 10 team. I get that. There are other teams when I looked at those rankings that are absolutely just way underranked. Won't get into any of that right now because we are talking about Gainesville and the Red Elephants, but it was just shocking that Gainesville was 7 and there were other teams that were ranked outside the top 20, top 25, top 30 that are definitely in those tiers when you look at where we're projecting them to be this year with what they have coming back and such. So just wanted to, make that point. I wanted to make it last week, but we didn't have a show.
By the way, just so that people know, we've got our state rankings page at Access WDUN, the Friday Game Night page. That ranking page is based off a composite of several rankings. The Maxwell ratings is one of the ones that feeds into them, but they are not the.
And those have been updated, correct?
Those have been updated.
There we go. So, Walker, go check them out. You might be happy.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, let's move on to the St. Francis Academy Buford game. That's at Tom Ryden Stadium. And St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, Maryland. This is a nationally ranked game, a top 10 game. I think St. Francis number 6 in the nation. Buford, I think, coming in at number 10 in the nation. And, guys, I think right now, let's just throw out Jeff Hart's stat of the show.
Here's some things you need to know.
It's Jeff Hart's interesting stat of the show.
Well, maybe you should put Bo's stat of the show. Actually, this is Jeff's stat of the show, and I did give it to him earlier. The number are the phrase is more than 15. More than 15 Division I athletes will be on the field at Tom Ryden Stadium on Friday night. So this game right here setting up to be a good game. We'll have it on radio, AM 550 WDUN, so you can check it out there. Also streaming online at Access WDUN. So, guys, I don't know what to say about this game other than the fact a lot of star power in it and a lot of eyes on Buford because of the nation's number 1 quarterback, Georgia commit Dylan Raiola. So, Edric Houston, KJ Bolden, Justin Allen, Justin Baker, Brody Jacobs, or Braden Jacobs, who is a big offensive lineman for them. Ton of talent both sides of the ball. I don't know what you guys are expecting, but either a shootout in Buford or a defensive battle.
Well, whatever we get, I'm interested to see it, but let's not bury the lead here. What the thing everybody's got their eyes on, it's the first time we're seeing Dylan Raiola in a Buford uniform.
Well, second.
So, well, yeah, counting the scrimmage game, but
you didn't see all that all over Twitter, right?
Yeah, no, okay. I saw that, but I mean, it's a scrimmage. Right. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm sorry, I just don't care about scrimmages. That much,
agree,
man. I really
agree.
don't. But okay, let's get into this game a little bit. Don't know a whole lot about St. Francis out of Maryland. Do know a good bit about Buford. What I'm interested to see is what does the Buford offense look like with Dylan Raiola there? Because we all know what Bryant Appling wants to be offensively, which is a physical running team that can beat you off of play action and the deep ball if they've got fast receivers, which they'll have this year. But now you got the top quarterback in the country back there under center. And so, okay, you feel like you need to throw the ball more. You'd kind of be foolish if you didn't throw the ball more, I would think. But how far do you go in that direction without getting away from what you want your identity or your football team to be? What is the identity of this Buford football team offensively? I think a lot of people think it's as simple as, well, if you got a great team, you just add a quarterback. It's just 1 + 1 = 2. That's not always the case. There is a flow to an offense that has to be there. And so what is Buford's going to look like? Well, we're going to have them play a really talented football team in week number 1 to get an early look at that. I imagine it'll be rough. I imagine we'll probably see some mistakes and a little bit of sloppiness here and there. But the eyes are really on to me is what does it look like early on the identity of the offense as a whole is for Buford. We know what they want to be defensively. I mean, we know they've got great pass rushers on the outside. They've got very talented defensive backs. They've got very talented linebackers. They should be an elite defensive unit just based on everything they've got coming back there. But I want to know what the identity of that offense is going to be coming into this game.
And I think another great point to that defensive side is not knowing a whole lot about what St. Francis does. How does the Buford defense make the adjustments to take on this St. Francis side? You're not going to get a whole lot of film on these guys. They're the number 6 ranked team in the nation, so they're going to have athletes. They're going to have talent. There's going to be a lot of FBS coaches on the sideline watching this game from the sideline just to try and get their eyes on some of those that are uncommitted or some of those younger kids. How quickly does Buford's defense make adjustments? I think the offense, like you said, Caleb, there's gonna be sloppy moments. You got to figure out the flow with Dylan behind center and what the identity is going to be. But the defense has got to be there from play 1. And so who's going to have the big plays? Who's going to make the adjustments quicker? I think that's going to go a long way in determining who comes out a winner after 48 minutes.
I wanted to say this as well. Let's all be very, very clear here going into this game. Let's not make any quick judgments on Buford for the positive or the negative based on the outcome of this, because we have seen Buford teams go and wallop highly ranked teams early in the season and not win the state title. We've seen Buford teams lose to those teams in the regular season early and win a state title. It's about what Buford finds out in this game and what they are able to take moving forward and how they develop over the course of the season, because 7A is brutal, especially once you get into the playoffs. As Buford found out last year, we're not going to know where Buford's going to finish based on the result of this game, but it might give us some early insight into how some things are going to pan out, especially as it relates to the addition of Dylan Raiola to the offense.
Well, you have to think and know that Walton has been plastered on the walls of the field house and the locker room down at Buford. That's who beat him second round. Buford didn't go into the game expecting to get beat. It just wasn't a very good performance by them, even though it was a touchdown loss for them. And then the other thing is the massive bullseye that's on the back now with Dylan, transferring in June. He's been with the team since then. He's practiced all of July and half of August. How is that team chemistry going? I think that's the word you're talking about, is team chemistry. I think on the defensive side of the ball, there are less questions than what this offense is going to do. We know what Raiola can do. He played in Arizona. Now he's in Georgia. It's going to be interesting to see how all of that develops. But let's not forget, he is the number 1 quarterback in the nation and a Georgia commit, and he has several Power 5 guys to toss the ball to. Tyshawn White, forgot about him. So going to be an interesting dynamic in how that comes together, but I think team chemistry is going to be the biggest key, and the good thing about it is they've got a few non-region games to get used to that.
Yeah, absolutely. But what you said about Walton brings me to my next point, which was I talked to Brian Appling in the offseason, getting ready to do the preview for the magazine for Buford, and he told me that the defensive backfield at Buford has had a chip on its shoulder all offseason because they felt like they were responsible for that loss. I mean, Walton's passing attack carved Buford up, mainly in the second half. And that's a Buford secondary that's got a lot of talent. I mean, we're talking about KJ Bolden. We're talking about Tyshawn White. They've got some great talent at corner. So, that's a unit that's very talented.
Depth at linebacker.
They got carved up by a Walton passing attack that cost them their season last year. And so they are very, very acutely aware of that. And so that's another thing I want to see, because I don't really know what St. Francis brings into this game from a passing attack standpoint, but you have to imagine they'll have something there. I just want to see that Buford secondary in action as well, and what do they look like, because that's the unit that could decide their season, because you're going to win the state title in 7A. Well, I don't know if it's going to be Mill Creek. I don't know if it's going to be, whoever. Somebody's going to have an elite passing attack that you're going to have to run through in the playoffs. Milton's passing attack looked very good against Gainesville in the scrimmage. I know I just said I don't put a lot of stock in those, but they're going to have to perform at some point late in the year. So I got my eye on them as well.
Let's not forget Michael Van Buren, or Bruin, ever how you say his last name, quarterback for St. Francis, an Oregon commit.
There you go.
He's a 4-star, big tight end also for them. So interesting. That's going to be interesting from that standpoint. A lot of talent on the field on Friday at Tom Ryden Stadium. All right, let's move to the Battle of Highway 60. White County at North Hall is our final conversation game. Yes, I know. I see your eyes there. This game, very interesting from the standpoint.
No, well, it's not, because it's interesting. It's
not at all.
Mislabeled the rivalry.
Yeah.
That's not the Battle of Highway 60.
No, it's not the Battle of Highway 60. It's the Battle of what? What do we call it?
Well, I don't think there is a.
It's just a good old rivalry.
It's just North Hall White County.
The good old-fashioned
North Hall White
game.
County is all you need.
Rewind.
No, we don't have rewind on this show. Don't do that to Seth. I already made him do one trick in
Rewind.
this show.
Actually, just rewind. Really
North
quick.
Hall Chestatee is the Battle of Highway
You're
60.
correct.
We don't
That's
have that.
screwed it up.
That's what you were getting the looks for, Bo.
Okay, sorry. White County at North Hall. Interesting matchup between these two teams from the standpoint of a lot of new things. Second year under Sean Pender, second year under Chad Bennett at White County. North Hall, you have to think, with Tanner Marsh coming back. You talk to Coach Sean Pender of North Hall. He says he's the best quarterback in the area. And he is a big kid, 6'4". He was injured for 5 games last year, didn't play quarterback. The way this offense is, second year in the spread formation for Coach Pender, I don't know if there's many question marks on the offensive side. There are question marks. There's more questions for North Hall on defense. On the flip side, for White County, Treb Nix, third season as a starter, head of this offense, watched him against East Forsyth. There were a few good things that they did in the scrimmage. Again, I'm like you, don't really take much on the scrimmage. But to see this game in a rival format and how it's going to develop, to me, is the most interesting part of it.
Yeah, no, the rivalry aspect of it is very interesting, obviously. I mean, it's one of the most evenly played rivalries. It might be the most evenly played rivalry in Northeast Georgia. I mean, I think they've played like 51 times, and it's like 26-24 or something like that, or 26-25.
I think it's even.
Whatever it is, it's been extremely tight over the history of it. And, I mean, this is a game, though, I think North Hall fans are going to be they're going to have very keen eyes on this one, because Sean Pender bringing the spread offense to North Hall, it was a big change from what they have been for decades under the wing T. So you expected last year early for there to be some sloppiness, and we saw that with, North Hall having a lot of turnovers against White County, and it probably cost them the game. I mean, they lost by, I forget what the final score was, but they lost by more than one possession in a game where they committed a lot of turnovers. White County was coming into that game with a new head coach, but they were basically running what they'd always run. So, it was a tough situation for North Hall going into Cleveland last year. Well, this year, as you just mentioned, they got a lot of returning pieces. It's their second year under the offense. We've been hearing a lot of good things about the offense in the offseason. They're at home in the Brickyard against White County. So I think North Hall fans are largely expecting to win this game. But I expect White County to be a little bit better as well. So, but I do think the big key is, how does the North Hall offense look? Because White County, we don't have the kind of questions about their offense that we do about North Hall, because, again, like I just said, White County's running what they've already run. But for North Hall, year 2, you would expect to see some improvements.
Yeah, Walker, I think that both teams' defense, I think that's where the most questions are in this contest.
Yeah, guys, this is actually a really big rivalry here in the Chapman household, seeing as I'm a North Hall grad. My wife is a White County grad.
So you admit that?
That I'm a North Hall grad? Yeah. I mean, it's true.
Okay.
Why wouldn't I admit that?
I will not
Seems like
reveal
you might get a you
I will not
you might be
reveal
getting a
your
call
secrets.
you might be getting a call from Sam Borg if you're thinking some negative stuff
say
about North Hall, dude.
I didn't say. I know I'm a flowery branch grab, but I did not say that.
Only
Wasn't
joking.
me.
So to my
Borg, get after him.
So do you have a bet with your wife?
No, I don't. She's just gonna give me crap if they lose.
Oh, you started to say when White County wins.
If
Seth
So
is
to
a
my
ball grab.
points, North Hall is going to put up points against any defense that's got any sort of question marks. But I think the big thing on the flip side is White County is going to be a very physical ball club. That's just the type of football program that White County has been, always will be, is very physical on the front seven, defensively and offensively. So I think that if White County can kind of impose their will on the offensive side and grind this game down a little bit and shorten it, it's going to force North Hall to have to make some more chances offensively and take more risk, which is where the White County defense can take over and try and get some more of those turnovers like they did last year in this contest. So I think that White County has got to be the more physical ball club to have any chance in this game in the Brickyard with that North Hall fan base behind them. Because like you said, Caleb, there's a lot of excitement around this North Hall program this year, just in the second year and seeing how they finished the year last year. White County's got to do something to try and take that fan base out of the game early to have a chance in this one.
I think it's going to be a shootout.
It would not be the first
could
time
be.
we've seen a
Would
shootout
not
between
be.
North Hall and White County. That's for sure.
Would not be. All right, let's get to the rundown as we take a look at all the games and make the picks. But first off, we got to welcome in our guest picker, our newest segment to the Pick'em Show this year, as we really looked really deep to find this guy, and we have found out a piece of information that he is now a member of a chain gang somewhere.
He's on the side.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he's on the
Not
sidelines.
a Johnny Cash chain gang. We're talking about the chain gang on the football field.
Sutton Shirley, Chastity Girls basketball coach, head basketball coach, going to join us here as he is in with us now. And, Coach, so let's get to the basketball season. You guys going to win every game?
We'd like to. That's the plan. That's the game plan. We'll see.
We're waiting on Lanier Land predictions. That's what we're waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to
Jinxed me
say
last year.
I was about to say Sutton is gonna really feel the pressure of making picks now that we make every single week. He ragged us a little bit last year during Lanier Land for our picks, so now he gets to feel the pressure.
I'm in the mood for Lanier Land now. Can we just go ahead and play it?
Let's just go ahead and do the Pick'em show.
Do it, right?
Listen, I'm down.
All right, guys, let's get to it as we're going to roll through these. And we'll start with that Cherokee Bluff at West Forsyth game that is in the Corky Kell Classic. Hopefully it kicks off at 7:30, but I don't think it will just because it's one of those TV games. And
They never kick off on time. Let's be
kick
honest.
off on time. And I know Coach Shirley has been doing some research of his own, so we'll throw it to you first, our guest picker.
I'm going to take West Forsyth. They went 4-6 last year, but I heard good things about them this summer, so I'm going to take them over the Bluff.
You want me to go next?
I'll go. I don't mind.
I go.
I got West Forsyth too, because like I said, talking to Tommy Jones and hearing your kind of report on West Forsyth, it does sound, and Walker's as well. I think they're built very similarly to Cherokee Bluff in terms of what they want to do. The difference is I think they're going to have size advantages, and with what these two teams want to do, which is run the football, they play off a line of scrimmage play. I'll take the team with the size advantage and playing at home as well, and that's West Forsyth. So I got the Wolverines.
Yeah, I'm going to go with West Forsyth as well. It just of everything that we said earlier. Going to be interesting, though. They have a young quarterback over at West Forsyth. So how is that going to go for him in this game? But I'm going to pick West in this one.
I'm going to go with Cherokee Bluff. I like Asher Wilson at quarterback. I like the fact that Cherokee Bluff's defense is experienced and they can get after a young quarterback. Like I said earlier, though, the size difference is going to be a big thing that Cherokee Bluff's going to have to find a way to get past. But if they can get the offensive line to make blocks for that running back trio, I think that Cherokee Bluff can have a lot of success and can pull off what Maxwell thinks is a pretty major upset.
I'm going to go West Forsyth. I'll match the majority of the group.
No coattails.
Not today. Nope.
Yeah.
I thought about it.
The season is young.
The season is
We're
young.
only
Season
one
is young.
pick into a long
I need to
season.
start making Seth pick before me.
Hey, the missing Jeff Hart also picked West Forsyth, by the way. All right, next game on the list, Marist at Gainesville. Marist at Gainesville. I will start this one. I'm going to go with Gainesville this one, just simply because of the talent they have. You look at both rosters, Gainesville has more. So I'm going to go with Gainesville in this one.
I'm going to go Gainesville as well. I think they're the better football team. I say the only thing is you cannot make a lot of mistakes against Marist. When Gainesville made mistakes against Marist last year, it allowed Marist to get right back into the football game. Josh Niblett and his staff, I'm sure, are very, very aware of that. You cannot make mistakes against an option football team because they will turn a turnover into an 8-minute time of possession differential. But I do think Gainesville wins the game. I think they're the better team.
I'm going Gainesville.
I'm going to go with Gainesville as well. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think Marist is, with the system they run and how disciplined they are, they're going to stay in the game, and it's going to be a close game, but I think Gainesville's talent is going to overwhelm them in the end.
Walker?
Gainesville, I think that Marist is going to jump out to maybe an early lead, try and get a little revenge, but I think Gainesville's got plenty to be able to make adjustments in the second half and win this one by at least 10 points.
Jeff has got Gainesville in this one, too. And by the way, Marist does have talent. We talked about it earlier in the show. And the triple option, always tough to plan for. Good thing for Gainesville. Game 1, they've had time to plan for it in the summer. All right, St. Francis at Buford. This one an interesting game. It's a top 10 national battle down at Tom Ryden Stadium. I'm going to go with Buford this one. I want to see a lot of things in this game, although I won't get to see it. But will be an interesting game, but I think Buford gets the win here.
Yeah, this one to me is probably the toughest one to pick because I really think this is the closest thing that we have to a toss-up ball game on the slate. I really don't know which way to go. I tell you what, I'm gonna delay my pick here. Walker, let's go with you next.
This is your toss-up game and not White County North Hall or some other games. That's a little bit shocking. I like Dylan Raiola at quarterback. I think that even though he hasn't worked with the Buford offense that much, I think he's going to be able to make a lot of plays. It's going to be a very fun game to keep up with from afar since I won't be there, obviously. But I think that Buford has enough to be able to get the win in Tom Ryden Stadium.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with St. Francis on this one. I think early season.
You
Buford,
did this last year.
I did do this last year, but I just think Buford trying to kind of find their identity offensively with Raiola. I could see a little bit of early season sloppiness, and against a talented team like St. Francis. Like I said, we've seen Buford lose games like this before early in the year and go on and win a state title. This could be one of those situations Friday night.
I'm going to jump on Caleb's coattails. Is that the terminology I'm supposed to use?
Yep.
Yeah.
That seems to be it here on the show.
Don't know much about them, but looked at their record. Looked like they played a national schedule. Only lost to IMG Academy. So tons of talent there, and they're used to playing in games like this and environments like the stadium they'll be in. So I'm going St. Francis.
I'm going Buford.
There you have it. White County at North Hall. Oh, boy.
This is the pick'em game.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, you could flip a coin
Nobody
in this
wants
one.
to go first?
I don't
go
mind
first.
going first.
Okay, Walker said first.
I want to save Seth's potential, going against his wife or his alma mater until last. I think that's a more fun suspense to build up, Seth. So you're just going to have to wait to go last.
I don't think it's all that much suspense because I'm going to tell you right now, if I have to choose between my alma mater and my wife, who do you think I'm going to go with?
Your alma mater?
Ouch! Yikes! Okay, so when Brooke watches this show, Bo, just watch out the next time you see her. All right.
I know. All right, go Walker.
I'm going to take the physicality of White County in this game. I think that's the big difference. I think that White County is going to be the more physical ball club. It's going to be very close. I think they get a turnover late and win the game close.
I'm going to go right after Walker here. Is that okay with everybody?
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to go with White County as well. There's interesting things on North Hall's defense. I mean, you go back to the scrimmage, spring scrimmage, you go back to the fall scrimmage. I just think White County's offense is going to be able to find more success against North Hall's defense. So I'm going with White County. Nobody wants to go? Go.
I'll take North Hall.
There you go.
I'll take the Trojans at home.
There you go.
I think they'll have some improvement offensively. I don't think they'll have the early game turnovers like they had in Cleveland last year, and I think that will that'll allow them to obviously not fall down big like they did last year in Cleveland. And I think being at home as well, I'll take the Trojans.
Coach?
I'm going with White County. They were able to scrimmage a spread style offense last week in East Forsyth and did pretty well defensively. So I think they'll be ready for North Hall's offensive attack.
And now Seth.
I'm going to go White County, too.
Okay.
All alone with North Hall.
All by yourself.
Mr. Lone.
I guess that's where I'm picking up my game on everybody this week.
Okay.
All right. The Corky Co Classic, back to it. North Forsyth versus Archer. That game at West Forsyth, 4:30 kickoff. In this one, a lot of unknowns about North Forsyth as well. But I think I'm going to start this with a go with Nofo in this game.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns for North Forsyth. They also historically don't have a great record when playing Gwinnett County schools, and so for that reason, I'm going to take Archer in this one.
I don't know. I'm going to follow you and go Archer.
Coach?
Bo's the NoFo expert, so I'm following his lead. North Forsyth.
I really liked how North Forsyth looked against Dawson again, back to scrimmages, and how much we put on scrimmage games and anything like that. But I liked how North Forsyth was able to put up points, and they were very aggressive offensively. I think if they can do that, they can make this game a shootout, and I'll take North Forsyth in a shootout. Why not?
Alpharetta at Jefferson. An interesting game here as well. Both of them have a lot of holes.
That's a game that Jefferson really controlled for most of the game last year, and then Alpharetta's passing attack just caught fire in the second half and ended up pulling the upset by 1. That was in Alpharetta, year 2 now for Jefferson under why can I not remember that?
Travis
Nolan.
Travis Nolan.
I don't know why that pulled a blank on that one, but year 2 for Travis Nolan at Jefferson. They're at home. I'll take the Dragons. I think a game they should have won last year, they will win this year.
Walker?
I take the Dragons as well. It's week 1, Caleb. We can forget people's names right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Seth?
Dragons.
Coach?
Jefferson.
And I'm going to go with Jefferson as well. Banks County and Johnson. The Leopards and the Knights. Or the Leopards in the Knights.
Still trying to see Johnson snap that losing streak. This is a game that they can do it. Now, they got waxed by Banks County last year, but a large part of that performance for Banks County came off the legs of Andrew Shockley, who is not back for the Leopards this year. I still think Banks County a little ahead of where Johnson is as a program. I'll take Banks County on the road.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll go with Banks County in this one.
Agreed.
Banks County.
Yeah, I think Banks County just a smidge ahead of Johnson right now, but I think this game very close, and would not be shocked if the Knights snapped the losing streak.
Dawson County travels over to Jackson County. A lot of question marks on that defense for the Tigers. MJ Sperling for the Panthers. I think he's going to have himself a heck of a night. Jackson County.
I think this is the biggest toss-up game that we have. Maybe on the we got East Hall, West Hall. That might be the biggest toss-up, but this is close to being the biggest toss-up to me on the slate. You know what? I'm gonna take Jackson County at home. They had an 8-point lead late in the third quarter last year that ball game in Dawsonville. First game under new head coach Corey Mobbs. Beautiful new stadium out there in Jackson County, by the way. I think the Panthers at home pull this one out.
Seth is gone.
Seth just vanished.
Seth
all right,
go?
Walker, it's to you.
I think that Jackson County is a sneaky dark horse to finish top 2 in the region. I think that that's going to be a fun region to watch that they'll be in, so give me Jackson County.
Coach?
Dawson County. I like their physicality. I think they'll be able to go into Jackson County and handle business.
Dawson County is Coach Shirley's type of football team. That's what he wishes.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to have on the basketball court. Physical. He likes it.
Seth?
I'm going to go with Jackson County.
All right. Decatur at Flowery Branch.
I'll take the Falcons at home. By the way, I don't know how many people paid attention to this one. I was watching it on stream. That might have been the wildest finish we had of any game last year because I don't know if you saw that, but Flowery Branch Decatur had the ball at the end of the game and did the Miami at Duke thing where they lateraled it 18 times and looked like they scored the winning touchdown as time expired, got called off with a penalty. Might have been the wildest finish that we had of the season last year. I'm expecting better things out of Flowery Branch this year, so I'll take him at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on that one. You're looking forward to see what Josh Allen, how he goes this year. Oliver.
You had him with the Buffalo Bills quarterback.
I was about to say Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen.
Oliver.
Breaking news, everybody.
Breaking news. So I'm going to go with the Branch. Walker?
Falcons.
Okay.
Flowery Branch.
Branch.
It's a sweep. Southside Christian at Commerce.
This was considered a big upset when Commerce won it on the road last year. I'll take the Tigers again at home this time.
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
give me Commerce. They've got a lot of experience coming back. Ivy Tolbert's going to kick another game-winning field goal.
Man, they have a triple-headed monster out of the backfield, too.
They do.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that improves throughout the season. All right, so clean sweep for Commerce.
Yes, sir.
Stevens County at Hab Central.
Give me Stevens.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Stevens as well.
Indians have owned this rivalry historically. I think they got a pretty good football team coming in this year. Give me Stevens.
Stevens County.
Yeah, Stevens is so good.
Union at Fannin County. That's a Thursday game, by the way. They had to move it from Friday to Thursday due to ref shortage. I know that Union somewhat struggled against Chestatee. Coach, I don't know if you watched. Yeah, you did watch the scrimmage. So we'll let you go first. Union at Fannin County.
Yeah, an up close and personal
Up
view of
close
the
and
scrimmage.
personal.
I did. Chestatee was able to score first 2 drives, had a couple big plays. I think Fannin County is going to be ready after Union beat them in a close one last year, so I'm going Fannin County.
Okay. Walker?
I think I'm going to go with Union County in this one. They're going on the road to Blue Ridge. I know that we've always said crazy things happen up in Blue Ridge, and I think that there's going to be a lot of crazy things happen, but I think Union County's got enough to get the win.
Seth?
I'm going with Union too.
Coattails.
I'm going to take this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Fannin. Fannin County, very close, I think, this one.
This is such a important rivalry for both these schools. This is a tough pick. I think I'm going to stick with Fannin County as well. So, West Hall and East Hall. Best Hall, West Hall, East Hall. Who you got? Nobody
That's why you
wants to-
keep doing the E Hall chant.
Jeff's not in here. He does it the best.
I'm going to go with East Hall. Vikings at home in Valhalla. Close game. I'll take them.
Yeah, this is a game East Hall won in Oakwood last year. I am expecting the East Hall offense to be a little bit improved this year if they can stay healthy. So I will take East Hall at home.
I'll match that.
I'm going to go with West Hall this one.
E-Hall.
Oh, I'm all alone out there.
All by yourself.
All by myself.
All by yourself at the hot gates.
All right, well, there's the rundown of the picks this week. And, Coach, hey, thanks for joining us as our very first guest picker.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
And there's the applause. Hey, we'll get you back in here for nah, we won't get you off of the Learland Pick'em show.
No.
That seems super loaded. That might not be the best idea.
Well, I tried to bait him. You heard me
Yeah,
earlier.
I
I was
know.
trying to bait him into offering predictions.
Why not just stick all the Hall County coaches in a room and just see what happens?
That should be interesting.
You know?
That'd be interesting.
It would be. All right, Coach. Thanks, man. We'll talk at you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Coach Sutton Shirley, our guest picker. All right, now time to get to the locks of the week this week. I don't know how we determine who goes first.
Well, I mean, you know, in a draft like pro sports, they would let the team with the worst record from the year before get the
Well,
first
but you
pick.
weren't the worst record in locks, Caleb.
That's true. I
You
was
were
tied
not.
for the best
I think
record in
I-
locks
You were-
last year.
I think
You
I
were
was the
tied with
worst.
me. I think Bo Wilson was in last place, followed by
Yes.
Jeff, then Seth. And then Caleb, you would get the pick by virtue of regular season record tiebreak.
I was tied for the best record in locks, 10-2
Yes,
in
you were.
locks last year. And I
So is that
came
what we're
in last
going
place
with?
overall.
Worst goes
I
first.
think for week one, yes, and then we go back to if you won your lock, you get the first pick.
that
So
sounds
the
fine.
team on the left is the pick, right? The winner.
The team on the left is
the
the
team
favorite,
listed
yes.
first is the projected winner
Right.
by the point spread.
So you're
listed
saying-
Also,
left.
the audience can't see what we're looking at, so that means nothing to them.
So you're saying
Whoever wrote these wrote them really weird and different than last year.
You're saying I get to go first.
I'm
That's what
saying
he's
that
saying.
you get to
Go
go
first.
first.
We're saying
Yes.
make your pick.
I'm taking Jackson County.
And
That
that
was-
Jackson County line is they are a 10-point underdog.
That was on my list. I've got my list of games that I was going to use. That was number 2 on my
I'm
list.
just picking them to win.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's
and
fair
you get
enough.
10 points on the other side too.
Yeah.
That's a great pick. So I think
We go to Seth next.
Seth would be next because Jeff not with us this week.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm gonna take Gainesville.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm taking
Gainesville
Gainesville
2-point
plus 2, yeah.
underdog.
Gainesville.
Yeah, Gainesville plus 2.
All right, so Walker, it's to me now.
Yeah, because you had the worst of the regular season record. I think that's the best way to tie break it.
All right, so give me Johnson plus 24 at home against Banks County. I do think Banks County wins the football game, but give me Johnson plus 24.
Why don't I have Johnson on my list?
I think that's solid. I think
Yeah, I
that's
don't know
solid.
why that's not on the list, but that's a great pick.
That's solid.
Johnson.
I get 4 possessions
So you're
to
picking
play
who?
with in that one.
You're picking-
He's got Johnson
I got
plus
Banks
28.
County winning the game. I've got Johnson plus 24.
You got Johnson plus 24.
Oh,
All
24,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
24.
Walk it to curb, whatever your name is now.
Yeah,
What's
the
up?
question is how are you going to spell it this week?
Probably just
there are a
Bill.
lot of interesting lines on here. I think Chestatee plus 20 is an interesting line. I think Rabin minus 28 is an interesting line. Stephen just a 13-point favorite, but I'm going to go Cherokee Bluff plus 29.
Ooh.
Pick Bluff to win the game.
All right.
And so I get 4+ touchdowns to work with too
Yeah.
if they happen to end up on the losing end. So I like Cherokee Bluff plus 29 as my lock of the week.
All right.
All right, so Jeff has sent me his lock of the week, and let's see, Bluff is gone, Jackson County's gone. His third one is he's going to take Branch in this one.
Minus 10 at home
Minus
against
10 at
Decatur.
home. So Jeff has got that one in the locks. All right, guys, we're wrapping it here. Anything else you'd like to throw out on today's show?
Man, this
Football's
is
back, man.
football's
That's all
back.
we need. What else is there
Yeah.
to say? Football time.
We get to kick off football on a Thursday this
Hey,
year. I
we
mean,
do.
it can't be any better.
Hey, the official tailgate show, though, starts on Friday with this guy here. You can check him out.
6
just
o'clock
after
at
6?
Smokehouse Barbecue on WD Win.
Free barbecue.
That's right.
You so lucky. And then the scoreboard show after the game is going to have you and Watkins Kerr on it. Our
We're just going to
games,
call him Bill from now on.
5:50 games this week. St. Francis at Buford, 102.9 is North Hall, White County, and Marist, Gainesville, 94.5 to Lake. Check our Friday Game Night page out for all of the highlights, stories, photos, and much, much more on our Friday Game Night page. And follow us on Twitter at Friday
X.
Game Night.
At X.
At X, formerly known as Twitter. For the entire crew, I'm Bo Wilson. Happy week number 1 of high school football. Goodbye.